Number 15. Mind the Gap. In April of 2017, a man, a woman, and 2 children stroll along a Sydney platform to a stationary train. As the New Zealand Herald reports, the man and woman were the children's grandparents, but when they turn to board the train, the grandma boards with the girl, and as the grandpa and boy step over the threshold, the little boy slips from view. He's fallen through the gap, a mere sliver between the platform and the train. Both grandparents are then seen trying to flag the train guard down so that the train doesn't take off with the boy below. But with no help in the train's departure fast approaching, the man drops to his knees and reaches between the gap to try and pull the boy back out. Luckily, he was successful. He managed to pull the boy back onto the platform, where he then hugs him close. A Sydney Trains worker hurries over to make sure the boy is okay. The boy was alright, although in a state of surprise. According to the transport minister, this boy isn't the only one to have fallen through the cracks. 223 children were reported to have fallen underneath trains at Sydney stations in 2016 alone. Number 14. The Exorcism. This footage shows a woman shouting devil among a group of frightened commuters. A man dressed in a suit then proceeds to perform an exorcism on the subway. And attempting to free the woman of her possession. But the demon seems to be strong-willed, as instead the woman starts to attack with her umbrella. The man tells her that he forgives her, but remains confused and repeats the word devil regularly. She then backs away from him towards a corner of the car. The video was titled "When You Find Yourself in the Middle of an Exorcism on the Metro" and has been viewed over 1 million times. Local media claim that this scene is a regular occurrence on the Mexico City subway. Perhaps it's real, but then again, maybe the woman was just emotionally distressed. Either way, it's pretty alarming. Number 13. On the Tracks. When a man in a wheelchair fell onto the tracks in a Washington, D.C. subway station, many rushed to help him. Working as a team, 2 men were able to lift the 54-year-old onto the platform to safety, risking their lives in the process. Others were there to receive him, while the men then lifted his wheelchair out of harm's way. While it's unclear why he fell off the platform in the first place, luckily the man was alright. Number 12. St. Petersburg subway. This disturbing footage shows the aftermath of a horrible subway event in St. Petersburg, Russia. That occurred on April 3rd, 2017. While most in the footage are calmly exiting their train cars, which remain fully intact, the footage then pans to the wagons that were destroyed by the blast, darkened, the windows blown out. Passengers in these wagons throw their bags through the broken glass and climb out onto the platform. The event seems to have been coordinated, as another device was found at a different station and was safely defused. This wasn't the first attack on Russia's transport system. There have been at least 4 since 2009, the most scary of which occurred in 2010 in Moscow, when 38 lives were lost in one incident. Another scary thing to worry about. Number 10. The Outburst. The woman on this subway has some harsh words for a fellow commuter.
You're a piece of shit and a batterer!
While the person taking the video didn't capture the moments leading up to her angry outburst, the footage begins with her pointing into the face of a man and having some harsh words for him. She then takes it a step further, calling the man a batterer, while screaming in his face. Her display scared passengers so much that they cleared out of the car. It's only when she touches him that he comes after her to defend himself until she backs away. By the end of the video, the entire place is cleared out, with only the woman in the red coat standing alone in the car. I guess that's one way to score private transportation. Number 9. Quaken Subway. A YouTuber published this raw footage of the 7.1 quake in Mexico in 2017. that devastated Mexico City and the surrounding areas. The footage shows that commuters remain calm despite the subway and platform and everyone swaying around them. Some chose to get on the train, probably in order to sit down and stop feeling seasick from the swaying. The powerful quake hit Mexico City, where at least 361 people were reported passed away in the city and the surrounding areas. Nerve-wracking as this subway platform may be, I'd rather be there than in the chaos of collapsing buildings above. Number 8. Subway fall. A 52-year-old woman standing on a platform in Madrid patiently awaits her train when suddenly she faints. She quite literally topples onto the tracks. Fellow commuters gather around the edge of the platform while an off-duty officer springs into action. With the train due to arrive at the station any minute, the commuters on the platform attempt to flag the oncoming conductor, while the officer manages to drag the woman across the opposite track and with the help of bystanders lift her up to the platform. You can see the oncoming train pull slowly into the station just as the officer lifts the woman from the tracks. The train operator is able to stall the train enough before entering the station that it didn't come in full speed ahead. After the woman is lifted onto the opposite platform, a doctor who is also waiting on the platform gives the woman first aid. If you ever need a pick-me-up, just remember there are still some everyday heroes in the world. This is but one example. Number 7. Guy on CTA train. Published by Ruben Perez in May of 2015. This man on a subway in Chicago who appears mentally unwell starts muttering quietly but audibly to himself. Then, gripping one wrist, he starts shaking his head, shaking all over, muttering more and more aggressively, until he goes still and wide-eyed. Still muttering, he sits a bit more calmly for a while, continuing his monologue. Then he starts shaking alarmingly again. That halts and he sits calmly, seemingly having a heated conversation with the person sitting beside him. Only there's nobody there. Passengers don't interact but simply pass him by as they exit the train. He continues having a conversation with the invisible person beside him, gesturing and speaking with conviction. While this man's episode is quite scary to watch, the man filming the footage is laughing. Most in the comments find that to be off-putting and insensitive. There's no doubt that man needed help. Let's hope he got it from someone besides the cameraman. Number 6. Conductor, we have a problem. Once you watch this video, there's one line you won't be able to get out of your head. Conductor, we have a problem. The video footage is filmed by a passenger who is pushing the emergency button on repeat to report a problem to the conductor. While there seems to be no problem on this subway car, other than the man in question repeating this and pushing the emergency button like mad, the train never slows and no one comes to his aid as he repeats his claim while pressing the button.
Conductor, we have a problem. 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 Conductor, we have a problem.
One man steps in to stop him, but the man doesn't cease in his exclamation and then starts hurrying down the center of the train while dodging some commuters who try to intercept him. Once he gets to the other end, the reason for his journey is clear. There's another button at the other end of the car. He starts pushing that one too, repeating his claim, "Conductor, we have a problem." This is when many on the car intervene.
Conductor, I have a problem. Conductor, I have a problem. Conductor, I have a problem. Conductor, I have a problem.
You are the problem.
Conductor, I have a problem. Conductor, I have a problem. Conductor, I have a problem.
Sick of this guy's antics, as the train pulls into a station, many try to convince him to disembark, saying he's the one with the problem. but he remains unconvinced and continues to press the emergency button to report his problem to authorities. Through all the commotion, he doesn't exit the train and his camera is pushed down. It goes dark, leaving us to wonder how this confrontation was resolved. Number 5. Random encounter. This footage shows an older woman who doesn't seem as though she's all that mentally there. She curses at another passenger who looks like she was just sitting there, minding her own business. Then out of nowhere, things get more severe. Thankfully, the people around the young woman protest and tell the attacker to leave the woman alone. The older woman calls one of these men a scumbag. Then she squares up with him.
Make me scumbag. Come on, scumbag.
When he stands up, she gets up on the seat and people around them swarm the situation. In an attempt to calm her down, she then gets off the seat and waits by the door, continuing to mutter about what a scumbag that nice guy is. When the subway stops, she makes her grand exit. Those who currently ride the NYC subway say they do feel unsafe and paranoid that they might be next. Unfortunately, many must travel by subway to get to work, so there's not really a safer alternative. Number 4. Rush hour in Beijing. Beijing Cream published this bird's eye shot of a train station on line 13 in 2013 during morning rush hour. Commuters are standing heel to toe on the platform as the train pulls in. When it slows, they press to the doors in an unorderly fashion, not wanting to wait for the next train, instead of making space for commuters aboard the train to get out, which would be more logical and less time-consuming. Those disembarking have to pierce their way through the crowd on the platform. As the platform people press their way in the minute the doors open, you can almost hear the frustrated screaming going on inside commuters' heads. It's a crazy phenomenon to watch, and it makes you a bit creeped out to think that a stampede could occur at any moment, and anyone could be trampled and lose their life. Such events, though rare, are not unheard of on Chinese subways. Incidents of commuters fleeing fire alarms and even emptying a car when a man fainted have been reported in Beijing. In Shenyang in 2017, 15 people were hurt in a stampede on a subway train, while 12 were hurt in the same city in 2015. Number 3. I don't like you. The NYC subway is flush with characters, and this crazy lady on the 7 train is one of them. Marcusthegladiator published footage of this fellow commuter to YouTube in November of 2012. In it, the woman who sits alone appears to be telling off nearby passengers, or perhaps imaginary ones. She insists that she doesn't like any of them, and they don't like her either, so no one should look at each other.
Do me a favor, don't look at me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because you don't know me, and I don't know you, and you don't like me, and I don't like you. I don't like your kind.
A while later, she is seen flinging her arms seemingly unconsciously and making rude gestures, then raising her arm while contorting her face. When passengers get on at a stop and sit down next to her, she suddenly turns to her right and asks a man if the girl between them is his girlfriend and why he's looking at her. Moments later, they move and the lady pats the now empty seat next to her, saying she'd be so happy with her own apartment or her own house. While this woman's reality is more sad than scary, the unpredictability of her actions is certainly frightening. Number 2. Electrical issue. Smoke wafted through the Yellow Line train on January 12, 2015. While it filled the train, commuters waited over 35 minutes for help to escape. The cause is believed to have been an electrical issue in the tunnel. When the issue occurred, it forced commuters on the platform to evacuate. That's when train 302 pulled towards the platform and took off again. But it was so thick the train operator was blinded. He pulled to a stop in the tunnel. The train's fans were pulling smoke inside, and firefighters were only dispatched when they received a 911 call about 7 minutes later. Meanwhile, the passengers on the train could barely breathe and many got down on the floor. In the raw video of the train, You can see just how bad it is inside the wagon, and you can hear people cough, while most lie or squat on the floor. Over the intercom, they are told to remain calm and not to open the doors. Some call 911 to describe where the train was located so that rescuers could be sent down. Out of the 380 people who were evacuated from the train, 86 were treated, 9 were treated outside the station, and 1 passed away. Before we get to number 1, my name is Chills and I hope you're enjoying my narration. If you're curious about what I look like in real life, then go to my Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT and tap that follow button to find out. It's a proven fact that generosity makes you a happier person, so if you're generous enough to hit that subscribe button and the bell beside it, then thank you. This way, you'll be notified of the new video we upload every Tuesday. Number 1. Blade Encounter. This video, published by SkillDuff1122 in April 2013, illustrates that something bad can happen anywhere at any time. Nowhere is safe. The footage shows a man in a black shirt and jeans standing on the platform. Before he reaches into his pocket and brandishes a large blade, he walks determinedly down the platform towards another commuter, who starts shouting. A couple others put themselves between the man and the man he's after, seemingly trying to block the encounter. It's unclear if they're involved in the dispute or just fellow commuters trying to prevent something bad from happening. Then the wielding man picks a plastic bag up off the ground, that of the man he was chasing. A woman steps in trying to prevent the man from taking the bag, while the other man hurries over to grab his belongings. The wielder is successfully blocked from taking the bag, but he won't be held back. He follows the guy around again, but the guy manages to escape and is seen rushing down the platform, looking over his shoulder the whole way. A couple moments later, the wielding man is following again, but that's where the footage ends. What did he want from the other guy? How did this harrowing incident conclude? With no further footage or story, this one ends with too many loose threads. Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe because we upload new countdowns every Tuesday and Saturday. Or if you're still not convinced, here are some of our other videos that I think you'd like. Enjoy!